class. It's your teacher, Jen Travers. Just wanted to remind you that I do exist. It's a real person, and so even though I was hesitant to put my face on the screen, I wanted to make sure that you could see a face and remember that we're still interacting here. So just wanted to give you an update on a few things. One, we're starting a new unit. We are skipping past unit number 4, which was drama. And a lot of the writing activities were writing scripts, which I'm sorry if that interests you and that's something that you wanted to do, but it takes a lot of time and we're really just running out of time when it comes to finishing up unit number 5, which is nonfiction writing, and when it comes to working on the CCA, which is your portfolio, and making sure that we wrap up on time. I want to make sure that you have enough time to be able to accomplish the tasks and not that it's jam-packed full and you just feel overwhelmed right at the end of the semester. I also wanted to say that I'm going to be working through marking. You may have noticed a big gap in me returning assignments. So I'm teaching 2 e-learning courses, and I worked very hard and diligently to get my other one caught up. I had a family emergency for a couple of weeks there that I needed to pay attention to, and I just got away from the marking. So my other course is caught up, and I'm diligently going to work on getting this week caught up. So hopefully you'll see those assignments coming back to you. The third thing that I wanted to make sure that I addressed today was talking about the introduction to this unit and a little bit about me. I'm going to take you through some of the activities. So in this very first activity, the big thing that you're going to be thinking about is who you are and your story and what people have to learn from it. So the end product that you're going to get to throughout this activity is writing about yourself. You are going to write possibly a personal essay, a memoir, a humorous personal narrative, something that you'd like people to learn from you, or even travel writing text, which we can get into a little bit later on in the week. So I've been doing a little self-reflecting, and the big question that I want you to think about this week is, what does my story or my life have to offer to somebody else? What can you learn from my life? Or even just thinking about who you are and who you've become now that you're in grade 11 or 12, and looking at what experiences have shaped you to be who you are. And you're going to take something from that and write about it within this assignment called Me, Myself, and I. What can you learn, or what can you share about your life with other people? What would they want to know about? So I just wanted to take you through one of the exercises. And I've always said in my classes, I teach social sciences as well as English, and I'm an open book. So there's many experiences that I have that I'm willing to talk about with my students. Obviously, there's some personal stuff or stuff that's really none of their business that I don't talk about. But I open up doors to talk about my life so that students can maybe feel more comfortable in connecting with me, or even remotely seeing me as a human being and not just their teacher. So one of the activities, in order to think about who you are, or what you would want to write about, taking a moment in your life that's defined you, or shaped you, or caused you to see things in a different way. That's really what we want to look at. And so there's an activity here that it just records your ideas in your writer's notebook. And the question is, what did you do in your day yesterday? And I actually had a quite busy day. And so I just went through this activity, and I'm just going to talk my way through it and give you some ideas as to what I might write about. You don't have to use this activity as your writing prompt, but it's simply an opportunity to brainstorm some ideas. So I've set the time here, and I'm just going to start the timer and talk you through my day yesterday. And the other thing it's asking you to think about, there's a reflection actually at the bottom of this, in order, after you've written down everything, to see if there's something that's in there that you want to explore. So I'm going to talk you through that after I outline my day yesterday. All right. Does it really do that? It really beeps the entire time you've got it running? All right, so we're not going to do that because that's kind of annoying. Maybe I could turn off the sound. Let's try that. And we're going to go right down to there. It probably speeds up the faster you get through it. I just set my alarm and went through it that way. All right. Sorry about that. Okay, so yesterday I was in Ottawa. My son is a goalie in novice AAA, and I was at a hockey tournament, and they went to the finals, and even though he didn't win, the score was 1-0, and the goal that went in was a good goal, and he worked so hard. In a previous game, he had got player of the game, and yesterday he got player of the tournament, which is a pretty awesome thing. So I love watching my kids play hockey. When I have the opportunity to go, I always do. So then my daughter wanted to play in her 4-on-4 game, so I drove all the way back to Kingston to make sure that she could make her game as well, and it's always fun to watch her play. Did a lot of traveling and driving. Gotta say, I love driving. I get that from my dad, and it was a lot of fun. So yesterday was also Mother's Day, and I am honored to be a mother, but I also thought a lot about my mother who recently just passed away. And so I was thinking about my mom, and I was going through my phone and realized I didn't have a whole lot of pictures, and I wish I had more. So I'm kind of making this vow to take more pictures. So later on I called my dad because I wanted to talk to him about his day. And then shortly after that, my sister and I watched an amazing Raptors game that they won and went on to the next division. All right. So those were just some of the things in 1 minute and 35 seconds that I wanted to talk through. So if I was to write down all of those ideas, which I did on this little piece of paper here, in what order did you list the items? See, mine were sequential. I went from like the very first thing that I did to the very last thing that I did. Are the ideas related? They are. They're all about my family and wanting to connect with them. And so I think that would be the idea of like connection or wanting to ensure that I have a connection to them. And that's included with like going to my kids' games or talking to my dad or wanting to take more pictures so that I can remember those moments. And so I think if I was to do stream of consciousness, I tend to think in logical sequential order, so I think that's always how it would go. When I do stream of consciousness, I also think about how one idea connects to the next. So I was thinking of Mother's Day and my mother, and then that kind of went to an emotional place where I started thinking about my dad as well and what I want to do in the future with him and how I want to continue to make those connections with him. So those are just some of the ideas. If I was to go through all of the exercises and then come down here, my dad is a whole reflection onto itself. He's an incredible figure in my life. How he has shaped me, how my mom has shaped me. I could really go down a path just talking about in a personal essay or a memoir about who they were and how they shaped or influenced me. But I could also look at a humorous, maybe it's humorous to me, but some of the amazing memories that I have and see if there's a connection there as to shaping me as to who I am or even how I look at life. So this is what you're thinking about this week is what is it that you want to write about yourself? And it's a feeling of vulnerability, opening up those doors and talking about things that may be funny or things that may be even painful for you to talk about. So this is an opportunity for you to be able to do that. You are going to look for a peer to edit your work. They may not be within this course. They may be at your home school or a friend of yours or a family member that you want to look at your writing. Make sure that they're using the proper tools, but you're not going to necessarily be posting your personal reflection onto a discussion or anything like that. So I don't want you to feel that if you talk about something personal or painful to you, that it is a safe space and that I'm not going to be sharing your work unless you want it shared with somebody in order to further benefit the purpose of your story. The one thing that I want you to think about is about details, because when you're writing, one of the things that we tend to do is because we know the whole story, we tend to leave out details because we can fill in those gaps, but maybe your reader can't. So make sure that your writing reflects that, or that when you're going through a peer process, that if they have any questions or they feel like there's part of the story not being told that they don't understand, make sure they identify those parts. Have fun. Good luck writing this week.